Hey, Max. How are you, buddy?
Hey,
Max.
How y'all
Morning.
this morning?
Yeah, we just had a phone call for you, Max. Before we get into football, they said, ask Max, how do you deep fry a frozen turkey?
Oh, you don't a frozen now. No. You drop that. You drop a frozen turkey in hot oil. It's gonna spill over everywhere and catch your house on fire. I'll just tell you.
So
now,
thaw it.
Defrost the dough. You don't deep. I love to deep fry them, and I don't do it in the house. I do it in the garage or out on the porch somewhere. Because that you get a 5-gallon. Basically, if it's a big turkey, 12, 14 pounder. That's. You need to give them my phone number. Let me talk to them about that.
All right. Well, what do you season that turkey with before you deep fry it, Max?
I let it defrost first and foremost. Usually season, I'll do black pepper. I'll do some butter, but I put it inside the turkey. Because if you put it on the outside, the grease is just, and I'll use a little flour. I put a little flour on it as well to try to hold that. If I do put the butter on the outside, really the seasoning really comes from some kind. The marinade of the oil that I've used before. All the white meat I use, Barry, I use an Italian dressing because the oil will kind of absorb. A lot of people don't want to leave meat out as long as I do, but I've never had any problem with it. But I don't have no problem leaving a piece of meat out in the room temperature, for 4 or 5 hours. It depends on how big the turkey is. A lot of ingredients go with that. Remember, mine's a lot of. I've learned through the years, just doing it and failing and throwing it out and starting over. But to ask you about the seasoning, depends on the taste, what you want. A lot of black pepper. The best is just Italian dressing and let it soak and put that oil down in it so the meat stays soft.
All right, now, well, I guess we got to talk football now. Go ahead.
Well, we do. I think there's a concern by Alabama football staff that Mississippi State, based on LSU's great win, coach fans complacent, that they're in for a rough game. You probably don't think that, but Mississippi State coming over here never makes the crowd very loud. Mississippi State's better than we think, or they think. Comment on that game based on what I've said.
Well, I think first and foremost the inconsistency and the coaching staff not having been, playing the number one team in the country before. I think a lot of that. There's going to be some miscommunication, Coach. I think they've gotten a little better. I think finally Joe Moorhead has decided that that if you narrow the playbook down and just give Nick Fitzgerald a few plays that he can run and be successful, he did that against Texas A&M. But we know the difference between Alabama and Texas A&M.
Max, I kind of was mentioning Alabama being complacent.
Alabama. I'm sorry. Alabama.
Go ahead.
Look, they're playing for position now. They already in the SEC. I think Saban uses they're playing in a position to keep that number one position alive.
Okay.
I think the spread like 28 or something like that.
No, it went down to 23. It's going down, Max.
Oh, well, that means Mississippi State people are feeling pretty good then. That's what I see it. I did not understand that because Alabama, Coach Saban's been really good about doing it. Here's, to me, complacency with the amount of talent they got. And you know this, they'll sub. They'll bring those guys. Those ones are kind of dragging around a little bit. They put the twos in there.
Well, he's hacked right now. He's number one. He's tired. Number two, he's ill. And number three, he doesn't think his football team is as ready as they need to be. And he usually has a pretty good. He usually doesn't fake that. He usually worries about that, and is usually right.
Well, I'm sure he is, but I think he also realizes that's a way to get the message to him too.
Oh, I know.
And I think he does an excellent job in doing that. Now,
okay.
Number one's going to play, and I agree. I don't think Hurts can play, but if Matt Jones has to play, then that means they're going to turn and hand it off a lot. I don't think they're going to ask him to throw it down the field too much. But I think by that time, I really believe. I don't know. I don't have that feeling. I'll be honest with you. I'm over here among. I interviewed 3 guys that cover Mississippi State every day for 5 years. I have not found one that believes that Mississippi State can even play with them. Not one. And that's coming from the people that cover Mississippi State every day.
Yeah, but they're looking at Alabama being focused, ready to play. If they're not, like let's say that LSU game, they got back. All the guys are on Twitter. It took a lot of energy out of them. They're a little bit flat. They don't play up to Alabama standards. Let me ask you, is Mississippi State good enough if Alabama has one of those days to beat them?
Have you watched the secondary at Mississippi State? I'm telling you guys, they got a good front four. Their linebackers are so-so. Their secondary, Alabama, if Alabama plays, they'll score 40 and 50 because they can't cover. They can't cover those wide receivers from Alabama. Alabama's going to put, 3 in the pattern every time and 4 or 5 sometimes. They'll have to play nickel all day long. I asked a guy that's on the staff in a conversation, what about the blitz packages? He said, we aren't going to blitz them. He said, we got to use the coverage. So that means they're going to rush 4. Alabama's done pretty good offensively. If Tua's got time to throw, I can tell you Mississippi State cannot cover the secondary.
But Max, why last year? I mean, it was a 31-24 game. I mean, it was a close game last year. Has Alabama just gotten that much better, and Mississippi State gone that much gone backwards?
That was Dan Mullen had that playing that team at a high rate, at a high level last year at that time, and Moorhead is just now getting to that with the new coaching staff, Barry. I mean, they got to think. Look, I'm not demeaning them. The fact is, but the difference is the reason why there's still a 23-point spread in there. Because the fact is, Alabama, I think, will win probably by 20 or more. And I don't know that they'll play that they won the whole time. They may play their 2s and 3s the second, third quarter. Because, they looking to beat Georgia in the SEC championship, and they looking to go on to play for a national championship. And they planning that out already. You guys know that. So, I think everything Coach Saban says, I had an hour conversation with Pete Jenkins this week about some of that same stuff. Everything he says, it has a meaning and a direction for somebody. And he's as good as it is in the country, and I have to buy into that. Pete Bass has been an alternate staff member for him for 10 years. So, I don't buy into that at all. I think Alabama comes up. They may not score 50, no. But look, as long as they play well and doesn't get anybody hurt and win the football game, they stay at the top.
Yeah, I bet you Nick Saban doesn't want to hear the word Georgia talked around that building, though. He would grab you up by your shirt tail if he heard you say Georgia, looking ahead over there. Now,
Georgia,
he may have some interns off in some other exclusive apartment working on Georgia, but anybody in that building talking about Georgia right now, Nick Saban, woo, he'd tear him up. All right, Max, you're a big Dan Mullen fan. Dad he's not buying Dan Mullen.
Right.
They were not ready to play against Missouri. I'm sorry they weren't. Now, they got the Gamecocks coming down there. Their quarterbacks, they can throw a little bit, got carted off the field. The Gamecocks feel like, you know what, we can win 8 now because we got Akron and, I don't know, Chattanooga or somebody like that. So they get Florida. I don't think they'll get Clemson. Will Dan Mullen have this team ready to play after an embarrassing loss last Saturday?
I have no idea. I'm not on the staff.
Well, you're a Dan Mullen fan, though.
Well, hey, I base that on what I've seen up to now, Barry. Come on, I'm gonna tell you just like I told Ray Goff one day. Goff used to call me when I was in Atlanta and get on my case every day. Why are you trying to get me fired? Back the third day, you know what I told him? I said, Coach, I had never been on the sideline. I had never been in the staff meeting. They never called to play. And I paused. I said, and I ain't never lost to Vanderbilt on homecoming either.
Ooh.
And he never called me back.
But do you think Dan Mullen will have them ready, though? I mean, do you?
Well, all you can do is what you got. Dan Mullen's been playing the wrong quarterback all year, even though I think Anthony Franks has done a decent job. The trash kid hadn't taken 20 snaps. I don't know what that big deal's about. He ain't taken 20 snaps all year long. The media has blown that thing up. It hadn't been Dan Mullen. The best quarterback I've told you since last summer is Emory Jones, and he's going to be the quarterback. Look for him to probably get some playing time this week. He's got 2 more games to play and still hold his red shirt, and that's what he's been trying to work on. If they just remember where they are now as opposed to where they were last year, they've already won 2 games more than they won last year overall with McElwain. And McElwain had literally let that program go almost as bad as Butch Jones did at Tennessee.
That.
The only thing Auburn's got going for them against Georgia is to play fast. I don't think Kirby likes people playing fast. But they've got no running backs. They've got an offensive line that the quarterback, bless his heart, he doesn't have time to do anything. And the receivers they can't catch a cold. I mean, he's had it in their hands time after time after time. I'm not taking up for him, but I think people have beaten him to death, and they dropped the football. Yeah. Going over to Athens at night with all that Georgia hype and all, it's going to be very hard for Auburn.
I agree. No, I just can't. The inconsistency at Auburn coach has been there for a long time. You know that.
Yeah.
Last year, even though they jumped out and beat Alabama and beat Georgia and came back and lost to Georgia, they lost to Central Florida. We know the history there. And the injury factor has, the Winslow kid is the only decent running back they got. He's been hurt. I think he had 6 snaps against A&M, but they did come back and won that ball game. But I don't give them much. So I don't think they can beat. Certainly, I don't think they can beat Georgia. I know they can't beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa. So I mean, what is the future? I saw where they came out and the athletic director agreed. They're going to keep us another year. Well, just think through that a minute. The athletic director didn't have one thing to do with that contract. That was the president's decision to award Gus that contract last year, and that was his decision to keep him another year because he didn't want to look bad. So, if you poll the fan base out there, they'd love to have a change from everybody I talked to tomorrow if they could. So I don't know what the end result is down there. They don't have enough players right now, and I go back to recruiting. If you don't have a decent running back to run that offense, how do you be down to just one? And basically, they were almost like that till they found Johnson last year. They were down to that same situation. He had to play hurt, particularly the last 2 ball games. So
there'll be a change there'll be a change at some part of the offense with with Lindsey, I guess, probably.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think they Gus will look for somewhere to try to make some adjustment. But if they do change again, regardless of who goes in there, if Gus keeps the play sheet in his pocket and overrules the call, and from what I've been told inside, that's what's happening, then, why do they need an offensive coordinator?
Yeah, I don't know why. Why does he just call the plays? I mean, that's what you do.
He gets publicly criticized, Barry, and nobody wants to get that. We all know that, but that's from everything we've seen and heard. That is exactly what. If you notice when he starts, he doesn't have the sheet in his hand. By the middle of the second quarter, regardless of what, he reaches that back pocket, pulls out that sheet. Well, indications are that he's overruling or he's making some of the calls along the way. That's his prerogative. We know that. But he has a tendency to call the same plays. After a long play, he's going to run back to the huddle, turn and hand it off inside. If we at home can sit and predict that, what do you think the defensive coordinators are doing on the other team?
Yeah, this is when they play Alabama, they just seem to play looser for some reason. I guess because they feel like they got nothing to lose. I don't know, but when they play these other teams, they just, I don't know. If you're making $7 million a year, you get me worried about getting criticized. I mean,
Coach Saban should have changed quarterbacks, Barry.
Do what?
Coach Saban should have changed quarterbacks. And Nick Saban never gets any criticism, but he made a mistake. He should have changed quarterbacks at the Auburn game last year.
No doubt.
Well, does anybody even know who number 2 quarterback at Auburn is?
No. And Kelly Bryant, maybe next year, he might be the guy. Max, I look at this as you would and Dad as coaches. Can Coach Stoops have Kentucky ready to play? Now, Tennessee's going to fight and claw. They're trying to get to a bowl. Yeah. Kentucky just got beat pretty good at home. They're 7-2, 5-2. The dream of going to Atlanta is gone. The line is 5. They're favored by 5 at Tennessee. Jeremy Pruitt will have his guys chewing on nails because they're trying to get to 6.
That's true.
Is this a trap game for Kentucky?
Well, I think it's equal on both sides. I mean, just think about it. Kentucky's got a chance to win 10. When's the last time they won 10? What, back in the 70s or something like that? I don't know. It's been a long time. I think Stoops, they know they've already exceeded the expectations. They lost the Georgia situation last week. I think Kentucky wins a close one because they got more talent in Tennessee right now. I think Jeremy Pruitt will do an outstanding job. I think he'll try to stack the line and stop the run. The Wilson kid can throw, unbeknown to a lot of people. I thought he did pretty good against Georgia. A couple of play-action passes down the field. So, and I'm sure they probably worked on that, knowing what Pruitt's going to try to do to him. So I think I like Kentucky in a close one in that. I'd like to see Jeremy Neal win one more to try to get to a bowl game. But we all know in reality he inherited nothing when he got to Tennessee. He's had to build that thing from the bottom up. So in all fairness, that line is probably about right, and Kentucky maybe win by one touchdown, and maybe at the end of the ball game.
My other question is, will Ed Orgeron and LSU let Alabama beat them twice? Will they be ready? Because Arkansas, at night, it's going to be cold up there. It gets cold up in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I know you know, but the average fan don't know how cold it can get up there. I think there's every reason in the world to look for LSU to go up there and get beat this weekend against Arkansas. Is that possible?
I don't think they got enough talent at Arkansas, Barry.
They probably don't.
I talk to my friend up there once or twice a week that covers them every day. And even he's a big Arkansas fan. He's from Arkansas. But, he even knows that LSU's got more talent. Now, if LSU just goes up there and lays down, we all know that can happen. They put it on the ground, throw a couple of picks. But, Burroughs doesn't do that. They don't call Steve Ensminger. I don't think he's going to try to throw it. I think they're going to line up and play smash mouth and run. And I don't care if they win. I don't think they care if they don't win but by 6 or 3. If they get inside the 40, they got a field goal kicker. He did miss one last week, but the fact is he's pretty doggone good. I don't look for it to be an outstanding, just a 30, 40-point win by LSU, but I do think they win basically because they got more talent in Arkansas.
Dad loves that kicker at Georgia. He loves Rodrigo. I think he likes those glasses. Could you see that?
Glasses on?
Could you see Dad in those glasses, Max?
Horn rim glasses, what we used to call them.
Are those glasses or goggles? Those things are like goggles.
I don't know. When I see him on the sideline, he still got them on, so he must be glasses.
That boy can kick. That boy can kick. I know. All right, Max, what's for supper?
Oh, man, let me tell you something. I was just on the phone. We're going to getting ready for Thanksgiving. I had a guy call me in a while ago, yesterday, and talk about pork chops. They want to talk about pork, ham on the grill, some ham steaks. I've gotten where I like a ham steak right now, and I cook it just like it's the end of the loin on a hog. It's not a pork chop. It's on the other end, and I like them. And I have them cut over here where I got my studio in a grocery store, about an inch and a quarter thick, and I based them in the marinade, just like I talked about the turkey a while ago. Based those in a Thousand Island, in a oil dressing, and I basically keep the heat up high, sear it on the outside, turn the heat down a little bit because you don't want pork pink in the middle. So I'm going to do ham steaks. I'm going to do baked beans. I'm going to do coleslaw. Just a traditional. I like a mustard potato salad to go with that. Garlic bread every time. A big old pitcher of sweet iced tea to do that. And guys, over here it's getting cold, and everybody is going through a lot of different meals right now. But they all stick in Mississippi with that heavy chocolate Mississippi mud pie. They do it 3 layers. I told you before. Chocolate syrup between the chocolate cake. First of all, chocolate syrup, pecans, and take it right in the oven and put that ice cream on top, and you have to take a nap when you finish.
Hey, that's great. Hey, Max, pork chops need to be, they're hard for people to cook.
They are, yes.
They're better for me than they're real thin. What do you do? How do you buy pork chops to get the thin ones? I guess you just buy thin ones. What do you do?
I use that Italian dressing. I marinate it in that, and when I turn, even in my marinade, I'll take a fork and poke the holes in it so the oil gets in the meat. And you turn the heat up quick to sear it, but you cook it slow. You can't have pink pork. But the fact is, and I baste it every time I turn it. Every time I turn it, I baste it with that oil, with that Italian dressing. That's what I've done. And then when I take them off the grill, and I use a knife to cut into mine. I don't serve them guessing just because of what they look like on the outside. On pork, particularly, I don't mind, medium rare beef. I'm not going to serve medium rare pork. So I'll cut into it. But the way I try to do it is keep that oil base and be sure that oil soaks into the meat off the marinade.
Okay.
Great stuff, Max.
All
I
right.
didn't mean
Thanks,
to make
Max.
you mad about Dan Mullen, but
No, that's okay. Hey, look, I don't. Hey, he's the one making $6 billion a year, not me.
yeah.
That's right.
That's his job.
He's got rich man problems. I ain't got those.
I
Thanks,
don't
Max.
either.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.